Good day, podcast community. Pete Kane here, Podcast Pete and lifestyle coach. And we have a special guest on the show. Whenever you mention the word neurodiverse, I get chill bumps because I've had a little experience with it. And I love talking to somebody that helps that community. So, Nick, tell our viewers who you are, what you do, who you serve, and then we'll get into our podcast.
Absolutely. So my name is Nick Lechnir, and I live in Western Wisconsin. I teach a platform called Critical 3 Academy, and it
Mm-hmm.
is a three-part interrelated platform that teaches critical thinking, critical learning, and critical speaking. Primarily, I work online, but I also try to conduct workshops in my local community.
Mm-hmm. I love that. What do you think? Like, how did you get into the industry? Were you affected by it? Then you wanted to reach out and support people that are going through that same journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up as undiagnosed ADHD. And so
Hmm.
I'm a neurodivergent thinker, and it took me a long time to really figure that out and to not only figure it out, but to know what to do with it in order to, you know, number one, function in society and get to where I was going and be successful in my career and my work and my personal life, but also to know to help other people to understand and be aware of neurodivergent thinking, whether it's ADHD or whether it's ASD on the spectrum. And there's lots of different kinds of neurodivergent
Hmm.
thinkers. And it has been a subject that has been, I don't know, marginalized, or maybe just people just not aware of it so
Yeah.
much. And the academic literature doesn't get out to the average everyday person
Yeah.
to allow them to, learn and move forward with these conditions. And
Hmm.
you can work around these things, and in a world that's a conformant world, and you have to go according to a specific standard in society. Neurodivergent thinkers get left by the wayside a lot, and
Yes.
because they are not understood, there's a lot of shame behind that, and they tend to not be as successful integrating into society.
Mm.
And so, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of personal experience.
Yeah. I flunked out of college twice. I failed English in high school, so I didn't graduate on time. It took me summer to get through. So I knew early on in my, you know, 20s, like I think I was diagnosed at about 20, but I never really knew what to do. I was always aware of it, but I never knew how to leverage it. When did you like first know it and then learn how to make it a superpower?
Sure. So I started college late because I lacked a lot of self-confidence, and
Hmm.
it took me a long time to get over that. But I eventually made my way, and I went to college and got a psychology degree. And so when I learned about psychology, things started to click, and um, I I understood a lot about myself. There's a lot of discovery of myself and my personality, and how I operate, how my mind operates. And so that was kind of the first catalyst, was going to college. And that was a long time ago. That was in the mid 90s.
Hmm.
So I've been out of college for a long time, but finding my way through different careers, I've had to switch a lot, not really know what direction to take. I didn't have a solid path, or a linear path at all. I just I was trying to watch my opportunities and take those opportunities as much as I possibly could,
Hmm.
given uh, the way that I was thinking and what was right for me. And so there was a lot of failure and um, upstarts, and then you know pushbacks and all kinds of
Hmm.
different things that I had to work through. But eventually, I got to where I was going, and I now work as a LMS administrator. So it's uh, it's a very fulfilling job. Uh,
Hmm.
there's a lot of anxiety associated with having ADHD or any neurodivergent condition. And I have to work through a lot of anxiety and depression and, things that go along with that. But it's a lot better than it once was. And I know how to get through those things with certain techniques. So I developed a lot of techniques myself based on my personal experiences. And then I want to share
Mhm.
those with folks that go through similar things that I've been through. So to let them know they're not alone and that there are ways through this. And so my methods, I always teach my methods, but I also tell them that they can build their own toolkits. So I'm a really strong
Mhm.
advocate for building toolkits. And I
Yeah.
have my own toolkits that worked for me, but I always encourage them that this is a baseline for you. And if you want to take that and run with it, I highly encourage that. Everybody's toolkit's going to be a little bit different.
Mhm. Yeah, that I think that was my biggest discovery is I was fired 5 times, quit 5 times. I never had like a consistent career. It was always
Mhm.
down and I try to get off like Ritalin or Adderall, and every time I tried to get it off, and then it would just be depression, anxiety, everything that goes with it, and then I'd work my way out. Just a roller coaster. It wasn't until I really understood more about it. I mean, I I was diagnosed with dyslexia along with ADHD. So, I didn't know how to learn the way I do now. What do you think is the most misunderstood kind when somebody says neurodiverse? A person that has it knows it, but when people
Mhm.
aren't neurodiverse, they don't have that type of brain. What do you think is the most misunderstood about our community?
Well, I can't really speak for all or most neurodivergent thinking, but there are a lot of related symptoms. I can speak a lot about ADHD because I've done a
Mhm.
lot of research on it, and I wanted to be really knowledgeable about the condition before, I developed a platform that would help, work through that. I think
Mhm.
one of the most misunderstood things is that and I see this a lot on the LinkedIn community and other communities too, social media, is that they think it's one thing or a few things, and that a lot of folks who don't understand it make a lot of assumptions about it. They
Mhm.
they think that it's not as severe as it is. I mean, there's different. Everything's on a spectrum, so
Sure.
ADHD could be mild, it could be severe. For me, it has definitely been dysfunctional. So I have to work through a lot of symptoms, and
Mhm.
um, it's a lot of it is living in the moment. So um, any neurodivergent thinker or ADHD thinker will know when I say um, it's either right now or it's out of mind. Uh, Planning is extremely difficult. Following through is extremely difficult with anything, relationships, with job, with tasks, daily tasks, taking care of yourself sometimes, remembering to
Mhm.
eat, remembering to sleep at a consistent schedule. It's extremely difficult for a neurodivergent thinker
Mhm.
because everything is right now, or you procrastinate. So it is misunderstood by those who don't have to deal with
Yeah.
that. And so if it's out of sight for them, it's out of mind, and they just there's a lot of tendency to marginalize it or think it's not as bad, and oh,
Yeah.
you just need this or you just need that. It's not that easy. It's a daily process
Yeah.
to work through these things, even if you're medicated.
Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
so that's what I would say is that's the biggest misunderstanding is that medication does help,
Mhm.
but you have to be consistent. And I think a huge major component that people miss is the accountability. You need to have people supportive in your life that will hold you accountable to your
Mhm.
actions and not shame you for missing missing out on what it is you need to do, because you can make a lot of assumptions about people who have ADHD and then just think they're being lazy or they're procrastinating because they don't care or something. It's not that we don't care. We care a lot.
Yeah.
It's just that it's hard for us to follow through.
Yeah. You mentioned the self-esteem, just the laziness that will get attached. And I had a person, this was about a month or two ago, and she was talking about when she really understood how she operated, she realized she wasn't lazy. It was just the way she processed and did things. I think that does get attached to people and ourselves because we think differently. When it comes to our society, like you got TikTok videos, you got attention, you got a lot of noise. How do you manage the noise today versus, say, early on in your journey?
Right. So when I started this journey, it was a long time ago. It was more than 10 to 15 years ago. And I've been doing my current career, the LMS administrator job, for a long time. And through the course of that, that's what really helped me develop my platform and to teach, because being a learning and development professional really opened up a lot of doors for me. So it gave me the credentials and the knowledge and experience that it takes to be able to help people move forward and to let them know that I'm able to help them. I have the training and the skills to help them. But it's really difficult. Can you repeat your question? Sometimes the tracking it slips in my mind. So if you can just repeat the question.
Just that, there's a lot of noise and our attention spans have been affected by like TikTok videos. And how do you handle all the noise out there to be able to, focus and concentrate on what you need to do each day? Because it seems like it's gotten a lot worse in the last 10 years than it is previous.
That is definitely true. So I'll kind of go backwards a little bit before 10 years ago. So, I come from a world, I'm not that young anymore. And I come from a world that was not raised on computers. We weren't raised on social media. We weren't raised on smartphones. And so it was something we had to learn as a culture later on, us older folks, when it became big in the early 90s, mid 90s, and then 2000s, it really started to explode. So YouTube, TikTok, any of the big social medias, they just become bigger and they become more refined, and their job is to get our attention. So for those who have trouble staying focused on certain things, or we get hyper focused on certain things, it's extremely difficult to pull ourselves away. So that's where the consistency comes in, where we have to work daily on trying to understand and say, this is unhealthy. And it's just 10 times worse for us as it is for a non-neurodivergent thinker. So it is a daily struggle, but it is also something that if we keep in mind, it's a daily thing we have to work on. That's how I deal with it. It's not just a one and done. It's constant reminders. I have to crack open my own toolkits and review them every so often too, and remind myself that if I don't do these things, what is going to happen? I'm going to slip back into old patterns again, and the old patterns are dysfunctional, and eventually they ruin my life, and I don't want my life ruined. I got a lot riding on this. I got a career and I have a family, and they're all depending on me. So I don't want to let them down. And that's really what drives me the most.
Yeah, me too. I never was like a journaler until I had a stroke. And then when I slowed down, I could get more into some like meditation and different things that I do today that I never did before. I'll finish up my 19th journal and my third book, and I flunked English. I never did a journal before my stroke. I would write every once in a while. Do you have some things that you've adopted in your journey that you could share with us that's helped you, to leverage the super skills or stay on task as best you can?
Yeah, I guess the skills that I've learned is that you shouldn't shame yourself or think that there's something wrong with you.
Hmm.
Um, there's Everyone has a little bit of a personality that doesn't align with others, and we just have to accept the fact that we're not always going to be able to relate to others, um,
Hmm.
and could be a lot of people. It's very rare that an ADHD person can connect to someone. At least for me, I'll speak from my own experience. It's really hard for me to connect and relate to most people,
Hmm.
and there's stigma attached to that. If someone in the community happens to come across someone with ADHD or some neurodivergent condition, they may experience something that's a little off or awkward. Sometimes conversations are awkward. Sometimes they lose track of what you're talking about. So someone with ADHD may appear rude, or they may
Hmm.
appear distant or arrogant or something. And I've had to deal with the fact that I can't control the way people think.
Yeah.
And so I have to be okay with that. It's not
Hmm.
easy because I don't want people thinking negative things about me because
Yeah.
I'm in my community, and my community is not large. I live in a small community, so people know who I am,
Hmm.
and they've seen things over the years that they may question things about me, and they don't know my personal life, and they may not know that I have this condition, but I make it quite clear on LinkedIn and other social media that if they really wanted to know about me, they could figure it out.
Yeah.
But I just don't come right out and talk about that kind of stuff unless it's something that I can help somebody with. They may
Yeah.
have the same kind of condition. I can relate to them. I can relate to ADHD and other neurodivergent thinkers. It's just really difficult to accept the fact that I'm not going to be able to please everybody all the time.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's kind of universal. It's
Yes.
we want to help. We want to please
Sure.
people, but sometimes we fall back into old patterns. We have to recognize those and then start over again and just get back on track. That's what the
Hmm.
most difficult thing is for me.
Yeah. That is, I always found myself kind of being a people pleaser, and it wasn't until after my stroke that now I don't give a rip what anybody thinks. I mean, I do the right thing, but I simply don't care as much of what people will say. What do you think? How do you learn? I mean, do you think that ADHD people lean more into learning that you've seen out there, and how do you mm, improve with Nick? Like, what do you do? Anything? Do you have a routine? Do you love learning? Do you like things that challenge you?
Oh, absolutely. It's just that I learn differently. We all have different learning styles.
Hmm.
I think that's a huge thing too, is that over the course of time, I've learned that there is no one learning style.
Hmm.
We all learn differently, and there's a lot of different thinking styles and learning styles. For example, um, some people might be more visual learners. Some people might like reading from cover to cover, starting with page one. Um, I'm more of a I'm more of a learner that just jumps into something, and
Hmm.
it's never linear, hardly ever. And to me, something grabs my attention, and then when I feel that it's something worthwhile in my life to learn more of, I get attached to that, and I just start driving towards that. that skill that I want to learn.
Yeah.
So when I started my career as a LMS administrator, learning and development professional,
Hmm.
I learned everything there was to know about instructional design because I wanted to know how to do it. And there were specific skills that I needed in order to be successful in that capacity. And so for me, I hardly ever learn traditionally. If I don't know if there is even a really traditional way of learning, but going to college, going to classes, doing homework, and that's more traditional. I got through it. It wasn't easy going to college. I will
Yeah.
admit that, and I struggled a lot. But once I understood concepts and I knew how to learn in my own way that was easiest
Hmm.
for me. It's never anything consistent. If I get a topic that I'm interested in, I'm going to keep driving towards that topic until I figure it out, and then I'll just drop it. If I learn something and I'm good at it, I tend to drop it instead of
Yeah.
continue on forward with it because I want to learn the next thing.
Yeah.
So if something grabs my attention. For example, one time, way back when, 20 years ago, when self-publishing books became a thing, right, on
Yeah.
Amazon,
Uh-huh.
I saw that opportunity and I was like, okay, you don't have to go through a traditional publisher anymore. You don't have to get discovered by Simon and Schuster or um, any one of these big, heavy industry um, companies to get
Hmm.
published. You can publish yourself, you can market yourself, and so I really latched onto that, and I published my own books. And it was just it's a huge discovery
Yeah.
for me. And so not only that, I developed my own learning courses. I figured out how to do it, and then just kept on learning from industry professionals on how to do it. So watching YouTube videos is one thing, but
Hmm.
it's not everything. But it's that thing. That's how I learn is I grab onto a concept and then I learn everything there is to know about that concept. And then but eventually I lose interest. I have to drop it and then I go for the next thing. And I
Yeah.
don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just
Yeah.
telling yourself that you're just a different thinker and it's
Yeah.
okay to jump from one topic to the next. Because I've heard so many people in my life tell me that that's not that's not right. And it's only because they're insecure about it. They're
Yeah.
insecure about themselves when they criticize you, it's because it's something about themselves that they feel
Yeah.
insecure about. And I don't
Totally.
need to own that. I need to
Yeah.
own how I do it, not how they do it.
Yes. Yeah. So to my partner, he's neurodiverse and ADHD and a couple other things, spectrum of autism.
Mhm.
And so years ago, I want to say about six, he discovered self-publishing and he's written like, I don't know, 400 plus books. I mean, and when you talk about focus, I've never seen anybody focus like him. But when he's got to have his rhythm, his style, his everything. When he gets focused, you don't see him for a month because he just goes at it. I was a remedial reader. I was always slow at reading. And it wasn't until like recently, last few years, that I discovered one, when ChatGPT came out, I would do a summary of the book. I put the summary into Notebook LM. It would produce a video, a podcast, a slideshow. It would produce all those multi learning molds. Now, when I read a book, I read it and I get so much out of it. I comprehend so much more. But I've used all these AI tools to really enhance my style. Have you used anything with AI that has helped you in the last 4 or 5 years?
Oh, absolutely. More so in the last few years.
Okay.
It took a while for me to catch on to how powerful AI was and how I could leverage it for my
Mhm.
own purpose. And I think it's a spectacular learning tool and helps me with my platform more now than ever before. Especially, AI is exploding right now and it's just in the news everywhere.
Mhm.
But the AI companies are all competing against each other now, so
Yes.
they're racing to improve how AI works. So yeah, definitely ChatGPT is one of the biggest heavy hitters and one of the pioneers
Mhm.
uh, in Google's Gemini, and you could talk about any one of them, Claude, um, Hugging Face. I've tried all of them, and for me, because I do love learning, and I get lost in learning. I, I'm
Mhm.
uh, I'm time blind, time blindness. So I can't just stop. Sometimes I have to really force myself to stop
Yes.
exploring things. But
Yeah,
yeah, AI has
I'll
definitely helped me develop things. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it is. I'll when I know somebody is ADHD or neurodiverse, they're more open to AI because I have the conversation. When somebody isn't, they're just kind of putting their big toe in it. They're not really leveraging it as a tool to help them in whatever they're doing. So it may be that I think the way we think, we see tools as tools and we try to leverage them for our own good to help us. But there's a lot being said about it, but not everybody is taking advantage of what is in front of us that I think I just ask on every podcast. What do you think when it comes to, you mentioned sleep? I am like, it wasn't until I learned how to meditate that I now have a better sleep routine. Did you discover a way for you to get that valuable sleeping time through something you were doing that helped you in your journey?
Yeah, it's all part of just developing new routines that are more functional for me. And so for many
Mhm.
years before I really understood myself and how I operate, I'm a night owl, so I love to be up late at night, even if have to get up early the next morning, because nighttime is very quiet. It allows me to focus a lot,
Mhm.
and it's really difficult for me to get up early in the morning to do things, and I tend uh, to wait as long as possible to get out of bed. Yeah, just because my mind is just so full of things all the time, and
Yeah.
I just I need that downtime. But when I do stay up and I have that focused time, it's really
Yeah.
important for me to do that. Um, However, there's a double-edged sword to that, um, and it's expressed in not knowing when to quit. You get on a
Mhm.
roll again. It's the blindness of time.
Yeah.
It's setting the patterns, the support. Excuse me. It's setting the support tools that help me to stop at a certain point and understand that if I don't get enough rest or sleep, um, eventually it's going to come back to me and make me dysfunctional again. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest part. If I want to continue and keep learning at a high rate, um, and develop things, I'm a huge content creator. So for
Mhm.
me, creating content, collecting it, putting it into manageable volumes for people to access, that matters a lot to me. Um, and so if I get enough sleep, always have to remind myself that that is the best path forward. It's one of the most major things, along with eating well and exercise and all those major parts of physical health that I have to be aware of.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
really have to keep cognizant of that, be consistent with it.
Mhm. Yeah, the whole thought of, it's a journey of discovery and life teaches us lessons. And I would say it wasn't until I slowed down for 49 days. I'm in the hospital, can't do any work. I had to think. And it was like that discovery of myself and thinking that I ended up cutting out alcohol, sugar, social media, TV, all
Mhm.
these things that were distractions. And I realized how healthier my brain got as a result of kind of cutting out things that were a distraction. Do you think, I had a kind of a sweet tooth years ago. I don't now. I just, started taking things away to see how I would react to it. Have you discovered anything about yourself that when you removed it, it honored your future self or your journey in a better way that you could share with us?
Mhm. Yeah. So you brought up alcohol. So I'll use that as an example because
Mhm,
there are times when um, I did not understand myself. And so there are things that uh, we engage in that are not very healthy, and they are
mhm,
agents of getting through life. And
mhm,
so that was one of my issues when I was younger and going through college. Alcohol was too much a part of my life.
mhm.
And once I also gave up most alcohol. I do occasionally have some alcohol, but it's not
Mhm.
anything like I used
Yeah.
to do. And that I think that was a huge thing too, is an understanding how much nutrients in food, healthy food
Mhm.
are so important to be mindful of. Um, yeah, definitely cutting back on the alcohol has really helped. It's kept me sharp, and drinking water every day is really, really important. Staying
Yes.
hydrated, because we can,
Yes.
especially with caffeine and coffee drinkers, which I'm a huge coffee drinker. I
Yeah.
have to make sure I hydrate a
Yeah.
lot too during the day, and so all of those are big major components in making sure you're physically healthy, which means that you can stay mentally healthy as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep a glass or a cup, and I drink it first thing in the morning to hydrate, and I have to keep water present or I'll forget, and it's
Mhm.
easier in the summertime because we're more active, but I go
Right.
to the gym every day because I walking is not relaxing to me. I have to think about every step, so I will bike at the gym, and I close my eyes and meditate on whatever I'm listening to try to increase my focus. But I'll have 2 cups of coffee every day except Sunday because I'm a routine person now. What routine would you share with us that has helped you?
Oh, exercise is definitely a huge thing with me too. I'm a
Mhm.
long distance runner, so
Okay.
in high school I used that as a really great way to stay connected to friends and
Mhm.
get through high school because my grades were not great, and having focus on things that I like to do, but did I not focus on things I didn't like to do. Most of the time, school and grades were not so good.
Yeah.
And so I learned, I understood that I became an athlete in my early teens, and it's things that stuck with me my entire life. So I'm still a long distance runner at my age, and that's been over 40 years later.
Yeah.
But it's been something that has helped save me from disaster and sinking down into a depression or um, helping me to understand myself. So that is definitely a huge part of my life. I do all kinds of different activities, and having kids that are young really helps a lot too. And they
Yeah.
have motivated me to just stay healthy and in shape, and it does really help a lot. You can get complacent. A person can get complacent with how they are, and your health can deteriorate over time. It's just
Yeah.
not something that happens overnight. It's something that slips away from you. And so, if I don't keep some sort of routine to keep myself healthy, for
Yeah.
me, it's running that does it.
Yeah, running was my sanctuary too. I mean, I would get out there and just kind of in nature and just enjoy it. Now, actually, podcasting is my sanctuary because I can't run like I used to, but I will sit on the porch every afternoon listening to the birds, writing and making phone calls and connecting with people. So I think you always have to, if one thing is taken away, you got to find something else that honors you, that fulfills you, fuels you. What do you think when you look? What are you most excited about in the future? If you look at today, what would Nick be is excited about?
Just to continue my platform and make sure
Mhm.
that it reaches as many people as possible. I'm still developing the platform, and I'm adding different things to it that, as I learn more about ADHD and neurodivergent thinking,
Mhm.
there is research coming out all the time that I want to stay up with, and my platform will just grow, and I'll learn new things. I just want to be able to communicate those new things to whoever it is, people in the local workshops, online,
Mhm.
and still develop my platform as something that is something highly valued. And I
Mhm.
just want people to understand and know that they're not alone, that, we
Yeah.
just need to understand ourselves, and I will do everything I can to try to help them understand themselves. So for
That's
me,
so good.
that's the way forward. That's my future.
Yeah.
Eventually, my body is not going to respond to as much exercise, and I'll still stay active, but it's not going to
Yeah.
be my huge priority as it once was.
Yeah.
I used to be very, very competitive runner. That's now not so much the case anymore.
Yeah.
It's just I have such an interest in developing my mind and my platform to be the best that it possibly can be. So that's the path
Mhm.
forward for me.
That's so good. Tell us about your workshop. Would you share like what do you do in your workshop, and how do the participants get value from what you share at your workshop?
Right. But before I continue, can I just pause for a minute and
Yeah.
just go grab my charger? I gotta have to charge my phone. So
Yes,
I'll just,
absolutely. Absolutely. Dang, I like it when
I'll stay with you though.
okay, no problem. We're here with you. The journey, Nick's journey to the charger. Yeah, I have to have chargers in every spot in the house because I'll forget to charge. The journey to the charger.
Almost there.
I love it. You're bringing back memories of my journey.
All right. If I could turn my camera on here again.
Oh, yes.
Here we are.
Almost. It was on. There we go. There we go.
There we are. Okay, I'm here. All right.
Awesome.
So, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out too that uh, this is a kind of a common thing for me because of ADHD. I don't always think of things like this. So this is
Yeah.
a perfect example for me to just kind of call out my own behavior.
Yeah.
It isn't
I do the
always
same thing,
convenient.
and Yeah, I totally agree. I understand it completely because I used to be kind of like you talked about, shameful about things like forgetting things
Mhm.
like now I just own them. It just, hey, it is who you are. So that I'm glad you said
That's
that
right.
and shared that. So tell us a little bit about your workshop so people our viewers can get a better understanding of what you do in a workshop format for your community.
Sure. So I invite families to come, uh, but it's mostly designed to have teenage adolescents, as a start. I mean, younger kids can get something from it, but I highly encourage them to come with their families.
Mhm.
Um, but it's really designed for people to understand that in our society, we have social media, we have advertising, we have
Mhm.
politics, and all these things are pulling at us in different directions,
Mhm.
um, to do and be something that maybe is just not the healthiest things in the world. And so there are um, entities that are pulling us in one direction or another, and it's not encouraging us to think for ourselves. And
Mhm.
so if we have that in society, my workshop is designed to allow them to take a step back, look
Mhm.
at the techniques and the influences, the persuasions that are being handed to them every day through these platforms, and to understand that you don't have to be sucked into that. Um, I focus a lot on cognitive bias,
Mhm.
distortion, distorted thinking,
Mhm.
defense mechanisms, logical fallacies, things that we think are true are not really true.
Mhm.
Um, and so to discover ourselves and to take a step back and really take a look at our inner workings and how we think. And then
Mhm.
when we understand how we think, we can understand how we learn better and how we communicate
Mhm.
better. Um, because it's just way too easy to tell someone what to think instead of how to think. So my workshops, there's like a structure to it. Initially, I'll just kind of go and tell them what the workshop is about, some basic concepts that they can
Mhm.
understand, and then I open it up to engagement. So I turn it into a game. So
Mhm.
there are prizes that they can win. Might have things that are like spinning wheels or something.
Mhm.
And then when they come to a specific topic, might just have them pull one out of a hat or whatever. And then we do like an exchange. So I'll ask them a question and just see what they think for an answer. I'll give them a multiple
Mhm.
choice sometimes if it's hard for them to come up with an answer. But it's about engaging the audience to think better on their feet, and
Mhm.
then to ask them questions about that makes them think about the answer.
Mm.
They're not yes or no questions. They're questions that require some thought. And
Yes.
it's not so hard that they can't get through it. It's just I'll guide them and lead them, but I want them to come away with the understanding that um, sometimes what they think isn't what's real. And
Mm.
so I want to take a step back and understand um, that they have incredible power, incredible mental
Mm.
capabilities that maybe they're
Mhm.
just not using.
Yes. Ooh, that's so good. Yeah, I could talk to you more, and I want to be respectful of your time. So I
Mhm.
have one question, but I want you to tell our viewers how can they get more of Nick?
Sure. So most of my presence is on LinkedIn, and I do post every day. It is all tied and connected to critical thinking and critical
Mhm.
learning and critical speaking. So my platform is something that I promote every day, and I try to at least share a bit of information that anyone can learn. And
Mhm.
it's not um, that complicated of material, but um, it does invoke some thinking. And I wanted to let them know that every once in a while, recently, actually lately, I have published a couple of new books, I am promoting them out there actively right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're on a site called PayHip, but I also have my own platforms on websites. I
Mm-hmm.
have a Thinkific site, and I also have a strikingly.com site. So it's critical3academy.mystrikingly.com, or it's
Mm-hmm.
also a connected platform called Leapfrogging Success. So it's leapfroggingsuccessacademy.thinkific.com. And that's
Awesome.
where it goes right into critical thinking and the Critical 3
Mm-hmm.
Academy platform.
Awesome. Yeah, I used Thinkific for years and now I consolidate, but I still probably have programs out there on it. But thank you so for sharing that. What would be the one thing you would want our viewers to take home from our time on this podcast?
One thing I would want to convey to the audience is that regardless of my platform or what I teach, ADHD or neurodivergent thinking is something to really be aware of. It's not just it's not anything to be ashamed of. It's
Mm-hmm.
not anything that we need to be afraid of,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to embrace, if you are, as some kind of neurodivergent thinker, you need to embrace how it is you think, work it into society as well as you possibly can, because the world isn't going to stop for just you, just because you think differently. But
Mm-hmm.
there are ways to get around that and to show the world that you are an incredibly great thinker. Um, there's also something that is said on LinkedIn and other platforms that uh, we have superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
That may be true. I don't think of myself as having superpowers, but um, I guess the takeaway is you're a powerful thinker. You may not have superpowers, but you are a powerful thinker. And then
Mm-hmm.
if you develop the way you think and work it into your career, your personal life, you don't have to be someone sitting on the sidelines and just watching the world go by without you. That's
Mm-hmm.
what the biggest takeaway is: just embrace who you are and keep learning all the time.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for that post, because when that post, I saw that the other day, I was like, oh, I love to get Nick on the show because it was a beautiful one. So, Nick, thank you so much
Appreciate that.
for your time and for sharing with our community your journey and the impact that you're making for our neurodiverse ADHD community. Thank you so much.